Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something incredibly important. We're looking at the stark realities of suicide prevention and exactly how a very targeted initiative called the Linked Pathways Scholarship Fund is scaling a proven tactical lifeline. They're actively focused on something really specific, fundraising for QPR instructor course scholarships, which is all about equipping everyday people to step in and intervene during those crucial life or death moments. So let's start with a rather heavy but very straightforward truth from Dr. Paul Quinnett. He's a clinical psychologist and the director of the QPR Institute. In his foundational work, he writes, "I am going to talk to you about the pain of living and the consequences of dying. I am not going to mince words." We really have to start here to immediately establish the incredibly high stakes we're talking about. You see, preventing suicide requires us to face profound psychological pain head-on. Suicide is often viewed by the person as a solution. It's a permanent solution to problems that they feel they simply cannot solve on their own. To literally save a life, we have to first understand the overwhelming depth of that pain. Now, you might be wondering, where does that profound pain actually come from? Well, Dr. Quinnett's work explores this psychological concept called learned helplessness. Imagine this. You try to change your world, but no matter what you do, you fail. Maybe you lose a job, a relationship ends, you face financial ruin. Eventually, you might come to deeply believe that you are totally helpless to control the events in your life. You might even start to feel like you're somehow cursed. Once a person arrives in this strange, isolating place where their efforts just don't seem to matter anymore, it's a very, very short step to a sense of total hopelessness. And that's when suicide becomes viewed as a desperate exit from an impossibly stressful situation. Okay, so what is the antidote to that kind of overwhelming helplessness? The proven solution here is QPR. That stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. It's a comprehensive gatekeeper training program that actually teaches ordinary individuals how to recognize the crucial warning signs of a suicide crisis. But honestly, more importantly, it gives them the confidence and the confidence to actively question a person in distress, genuinely persuade them to stay alive, and securely refer them to professional help. It is absolutely a life-saving tool designed to make immediate, effective interventions possible for literally anyone. But how do we actually get this knowledge into the hands of the people who need it most? That's where the QPR Institute comes in. They've built a rigorous certification program called the QPR Instructor Course. And it doesn't just teach people the basics, right? It trains instructors on how to effectively teach this QPR curriculum to their local communities. Participants learn the whole shebang: how to market QPR, how to deal with pent-up audience demand to talk about suicide, how to facilitate really intense role plays, and how to sensitively handle survivor issues. It's an authoritative credential that's designed to turn community trust into direct, life-saving action. To give you a real sense of exactly what these instructors teach, let's look at the intense reality of police suicide triage, which is drawn directly from QPR Institute training manuals. The absolute key element in any successful intervention is establishing a positive relationship. Officers are trained to deliberately build a working alliance with individuals in immediate distress. The manual explicitly states that when it comes to helping a suicidal person, you always sacrifice the paperwork first. Genuine empathy, active listening, and building trust, those send a crucial message of hope. And without that working alliance, you simply cannot collect the data you need to save them. The crucial point here is how we actually talk to someone right in the middle of a crisis. This triage training relies on direct, highly empathetic questioning. It brings the intervener directly into the mindset of the crisis. You ask what is wrong to let them safely tell their story. You ask why now to identify the precipitating event. Was there a recent loss or a painful rejection? You ask with what to immediately determine if they have access to lethal means. And perhaps most importantly, you ask why not now to discover their protective factors. Maybe that's a beloved pet, their deeply held faith, or a powerful duty to their kids. Oh, and the training emphasizes there is only one way not to ask about suicide. Never, ever say, "You're not thinking of suicide, are you?" Because that demands a negative reply and immediately shuts down the communication. So we have the psychological understanding and we absolutely have the tactical training. But here is the critical bottleneck. $595. That is the exact cost of the QPR Institute Instructor Course certification. If you want to become a certified instructor to teach this life-saving curriculum in your community, you have to pay this specific fee. And for a lot of passionate community advocates out there, that $595 price tag is a massive barrier, which is exactly why the Linked Pathways Scholarship Fund was created. Through focused fundraising for QPR instructor course scholarships, Linked Pathways steps in to make sure that cost is never, ever the reason someone doesn't become a life-saving trainer. They completely remove that financial barrier by providing the certification for free to dedicated community leaders who simply cannot afford it. Let's look at what I like to call the math of hope. By breaking down the certification cost, we can really see the incredible leverage of this fund. A $595 investment certifies one instructor for a 3-year cycle. On average, that one single instructor will go on to train 50 community members in suicide intervention. When you do the math on that, it means an investment of just $11.90 equips one new person in the community to intervene and save a life. Because each instructor keeps teaching for 3 years at no additional cost, a single donation creates a training infrastructure that outlasts the initial campaign by years. It's pretty amazing. And Linked Pathways doesn't just give these scholarships to anyone. They are super strategic about targeting their funding. They recruit people who are already embedded deep within the communities where crises happen. We're talking first responders, like EMS and police, who encounter crises on literally every single shift. They target educators and school counselors who see the warning signs in students long before anyone else might. They empower faith leaders and pastors who are implicitly trusted by families in their absolute darkest moments. These are people who already hold the deep trust of their communities. They simply need the QPR instructor course credential to multiply their impact. And here is something really incredible about how this fund is built. The infrastructure is built purely for impact. 100% of the funds go directly to the certifications, with a 0% administrative overhead. The board approved this fund on one incredibly strict condition. Every single penny donated pays for QPR Institute instructor certifications, nothing else. There are no salaries, no overhead, and no processing fees taken from the gift. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to consider. In the fight against hopelessness, we actually have the tools. We understand the psychology, we have the tactical QPR triage questions, and we have willing, trusted advocates in our communities ready to step up right now. If the only thing between a neighbor and a life saved should be knowledge, will you help remove the barrier of money? It's a profound question, and one that really challenges us to fundamentally rethink how we support the front lines of mental health.